back.
We are back. I'm Ash.
And I'm Fatima. So.
And this is... Oh, wrong button.
Wait.
Fatash! My bad. Can you tell it's been a while? I'm over here. I don't even know how to cheer no more. Well, before we get back into the conversation we were having earlier, how have you been? It's been like 3 weeks.
I've been so okay, so I was reading The Artist's Way, and things got so mixed up, jumbled up. I am not.
What week did you stop on?
8.
Girl, when I tell you this is week 8 for me, and I'm about ready to be done with it. I have not done week 7's task or check-in yet. Okay. I didn't even do today's morning journal or yesterday's morning journal, to be quite honest. Okay. I just do not fucking care.
I've been doing the morning pages consistently, though. I have not given that up.
It's not always a consistent 3 pages for me. So it might be 2.5 pages, and then
I have it
I'll
down
just pick up
now where it's I'm very specific about the notebook. It's got to be, what is it, college rule, the college rule, and I just do 1 page front and back, and that takes me 30 minutes or less. That's where I am.
I have a small journal. That journal I told you that if T-Mobile still had them when I asked for it, I'd use that, and they did. So,
but also I'm a writing person. I always have a lot of thoughts, and it's good to get them out and get them down before I tell them to anybody, because
but you're not supposed to tell anyone about the morning
journal. I know, that's what I like about it. I like just getting all my thoughts down and then just being well, glad I got that out and I can be done with it. Because
and you like bullet journaling too.
I do.
Little weirdo.
I do. Yeah.
I don't like writing. I've never liked writing. Writing as an assignment has always gotten on my nerves. I enjoy reading. I enjoy creative reading. I don't really do it much myself, and as a first thing I have to do when I wake up in the morning type of task, that's even more annoying for me. So as the week's gone on, it's gone from 3 pages to like I said, maybe 2.5 pages, and where I stop on the half page, I will pick up the next day, and maybe that day will be a full 3, depending on what's on my mind that morning. And I alternate pen colors so I can better track when I break off or what have you, or what's the new entry, because I don't date. I'm not dating these. I'm not numbering them. The only numbering I'm doing is with the weekly task. And like I said, I'm on week 7 now. I think I might get a consistent 3 to 4 days of journaling in the mornings. And I've been falling off with the task because sometimes I won't read the whole chapter and get to the task until Thursday, Friday. Yeah. And then I see, this week,
it's too much shit. Yeah.
Do this every day. And I'm nope, didn't do that. Or it's stuff that you don't even really write down. It's go through your closet and donate 3 items, or get a bunch of magazines and do this, then I'm not doing all that. Out of all the tasks for week 7, I think there's maybe 2 or 3 that'll actually require me writing it down in a journal. But it's just really been kind of just pissing me off. There's something about her that just screams white privilege to me.
Oh my god.
That just irritates me. I think it was week 6, she was talking about I recently bought a horse. And my friend was telling me that I won't have any time to ride my horse. And I get what she was saying in that chapter about how you'll have certain people who will try to, that will try to diminish the fun you try to have for yourself, or try to be a realist about, oh, you're not going to have the time to do it. And in my mind, I'm thinking the money to just pick up horse riding as a hobby, the money to feed it, house it, if you've got the land for it, let alone if you need to rent out a little stable for it someplace else. So if you got all that at home, you already telling me you got money.
Yeah, she does now. Artist Way has been super successful. And then also she talked about a while ago, like earlier in the earlier sections, like how she had built out her career. So no, I didn't think I'm not bothered by the things that you're bothered by. But we're just different. So
and I have talked to my therapist about this. The money thing is definitely a trigger for my anxiety at times. And one of the tasks last week was to write down, like, track how much money I have spent throughout the week. And I'm like, bitch, this ain't a task. This is a daily occurrence for me. What are you talking about? I literally am counting pennies every time I make a purchase. I'm checking what coupons I can use. Is it cheaper for me to buy from this website? Is it cheaper for me to just go to the store to get it? Is it cheaper to ship it to the store? Can I get free shipping? I do this shit every day.
Some people don't. Some people don't, and they need a tracker. Yeah.
But this is not, again, knocking Artist Way. It's just I find that some of the things that they're trying to call out, I'm like, I'm very much aware of this. This is something I'm already doing, and it's not as validating as I'd hoped it would be. If you're already doing a thing and someone validates you by saying, "Oh, I do that same thing." I'm not getting that when I read these things in the book. I'm like, yeah, bitch, I do this. Yes, I've considered this. Yes, I've done this. Okay,
well,
I don't know.
Don't and haven't, so we need it. So
it's like I don't know. I guess I don't know what I was expecting from the Artist Way.
Also, for me, so yes, I did kind of stop at week 8. Because things in this household just kind of
your household is stopping you, not your inner turmoil.
But in terms of the things that I wanted to create, I am making significant progress on my project portfolio. I've met a person that is willing to help me out in my career, and he is looking forward to me showing him what I've built. I've built out a couple of projects, and right now it's just a matter of figuring out which ones I want to include and where I want to include them. And the creative, what I had hoped to get out of this, finishing the book or finishing doing the book has taken a back burner to me actually getting started on the things that I wanted to create. So
but you have a plan in place, at least.
And it's coming together. So yeah.
Well, that's great. I think the one thing I've really, and I can't even say I got this from the book, this again shit I was already doing was the artist date. That is something that I just did in general. I didn't call it the artist date. It was literally, I would just do something for me at least once a week, or
but so many of us don't. So many of us don't, and then we'll call the city that we live in boring.
I know, but I say that to say I did that without giving it the title of artist date. So then when I'm reading it in the book, take yourself on an artist date. Don't bring anyone along. Just do it. I'm like, bitch, I do this. I was already doing this. I just hadn't because it was fucking cold outside. I am the bitch of being frugal. If I ain't gotta spend money or spend a lot of money, I'm not going to do that.
Also, this was written in a different time because in Chicago, and I feel it here, I think we're all feeling it everywhere. They're trying to make it expensive for you to go outside. I spent so much time in my little apartment, which I was not in love with. Not because I wanted to be there, not because I couldn't think of other places to go, but because I was pinching pennies and counting my money and seeing I cannot really afford to go anywhere.
Yeah, when I first got to Chicago, I was in love with it. I first visited when I was 16, and I would just explore the city, hop on the train for whatever the day pass was. The day pass still is pretty affordable as far as I'm concerned, especially now that you can take any bus in the state, essentially. for a day pass, because there used to be a separate charge if I went into the suburbs. Now it's just a flat rate of $5 all over the state of Illinois or wherever PACE and CTA will take you in a 24-hour period. Not like, oh, from midnight to midnight. No, it's literally from 2 p.m. on Friday till 2 p.m. on Saturday. 24 hours anywhere in the city. So, just walking around the city, taking photos, just hanging out in Millennium Park, like just stuff like that. That's never been an issue. But yeah, like once you get older and you have more responsibilities and work just making you tired, you really don't have many days that you even feel like going outside. And then you go outside and shit is expensive. You can't do shit. And then the economists have the nerve to be mad at us because we ain't spending money. The fuck? I haven't seen a dollar menu since I was in high school, okay?
Oh, and have you seen what has happened to the dollar stores? Oh my God.
I used to be able to go into a dollar store and buy something for like $1.05. The 5 cents being like the tax.
Yeah.
It ain't a dollar store no more.
Also, so like not only is the dollar store not a dollar, good luck getting some service, because the last time I went, there was one person working and he was doing all the stocking and he was doing the cashiering. So he was just waiting for a line to build up and then he'd come back.
Yeah, they do that a lot. Like, I've never been in like a dollar store that had maybe more than 2 people. Like,
they used to. I'd say about like 5 years ago. Yeah,
they really cut back on the workforce. My friend, she doesn't work at a dollar store. She works at like a phone retailer store. And rarely are there 2 store clerks in there. And her bosses have the audacity to be mad at her, thinking she's not doing enough. She's the only one in the entire store. She sometimes probably don't even take her break, which I told her, you are mandated to get a break, especially if you're working by yourself. But she has to work. She has to, keep the store clean, do whatever inventory stuff she has to do, whatever her shutdown process is by herself, which when I worked retail, there was always at least 2 people there.
Yeah, it's dangerous. It's dangerous for you to be by yourself. It's dangerous.
Like, there'll be like a security guard for the plaza that'll do their rounds sometimes, not on a regular. Like, I know one time the security like called the store phone after closing, which she's not answering the phone after closing. And when she walked outside, the security guard was like in their car, was like, yeah, I called the store to check and see if you were still in there. Like, bitch, it's 8:15. I'm not answering the store phone, letting these customers think they can just be on the phone when we close, because they will try it.
Right.
But just in terms of like the money, you have to be, or like when I worked retail, the manager would count the money and I would be there as like a witness, essentially. It was 2 people to count it. She's the only one counting it, and I guess maybe her managers are watching her from the cameras, because sometimes she'll call me when it's like slow at work, and the managers will like call her and be like, you can't be on your phone. Ain't nobody in the store. And every time she does call me, I guarantee you, people just come in. Like, it'll be quiet in the store for 2 hours. She decides to call me. 15 minutes later, here comes a body. Every 5 minutes, somebody's now coming in the store. So if anything, her looking distracted is bringing y'all customers. But I digress. The economy sucks. These bosses want you to do more than what's in your pay grade, and don't even want to give you the raise. They want you to do everything, including some of their responsibilities, but God forbid they even give you like a title change and the money that comes with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, doing these free artist dates, as the book suggests, it's like, in terms of like trying to get inspiration, like when I think of artist dates, I try to do something different each week. that's different from the last. Even if it's me going to the movies, it's seeing a different movie, you know? And sometimes the variety, even when it's free, is not easy or doable. And that's where I feel like I will get stuck in that rut of like, I'm doing the same things over and over again. I'm not inspired. I'm not seeing things new. I'm not experiencing things new because I don't have the time or money. That being said, did you have an artist date this weekend?
No, I told you. I've completely stopped, and I'm trying to like restart. So
this is your weekend to restart.
Yes, this is my weekend to restart. And where I want to go is still the same place I wanted to go before.
The greenhouse or botanical garden.
Yeah. And it would be nice to go there before we start our garden here, so I can like think through what the plans are. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and you still have to consider the environment. Like that's a very curated environment, a botanical garden. I mean, even down.
They'll also like just be full of like just general like plant growing like knowledge.
Yeah.
Because I've been there before, like as a kid, but like I want to go now as an adult and look around and see some books. And also, it's very cheap. It's only like $8, and parking is included. So,
I like me a bundled deal.
Yeah,
that's part of the reason why I wouldn't say I cut my artist date short. It was like midnight, and I had been up since 8 a.m. I think midnight is a good time to cut out, but it was also a convention. And generally speaking, conventions are darn near a 24-hour event. Like, depending on the convention, it literally is 24 hours. There'll be certain rooms that are like airing shows all weekend. So you could just be in a con room and probably just fall asleep in the chairs and just, you know, I'm sure they have people circling and clearing the rooms out. But no, I'm old. I'd only had a white chocolate mocha and a Baja Blast all day. Hadn't even had any water. Been on my feet most of that time. I could have died. Like, let's be real. I was not hungry. But humanly speaking, I was in the danger zone. No water or solid food for well over 12 hours. Instinctively, it was time to go. But con-wise, midnight at cons that have like an after hours dance element, the con dance would have just gotten started at like 10 p.m. You know, like there was still time, but I was tired, had not eaten. And I saw that the surge prices had gone down. So from getting from downtown Chicago back to the north side for less than $25, it's time to go.
That's how much it costs now? Jesus Christ.
When I first, I was at McCormick Place. Like I said, I'm on the north side. So that's about a 33-minute car ride. And it's, you know, most people just don't like going to the north side. They're like, ugh, I gotta go all the way up there. So the prices are going to surge. But no, when I first checked, it was clocking at about $60 when I checked at like 10 p.m. And then at midnight, I got a text I got an alert from Lyft saying like, your trip is $30 cheaper. And I had like a $5 off discount for the next. Actually, let me double check, because what tricks me out is sometimes I will book when the price says it's $24, and then sometimes the first person will cancel and they'll rebook me with someone else, and in the time it takes them to rebook me, my shit done charged me more. Let me double check. But generally speaking, it was looking favorable for me to leave at midnight. I got home by 12:30 and yet still didn't go to sleep till like 5. But yeah, my artist date was fine. I feel like I spent too much money because nobody checked my badge to get into the convention. I didn't wear my badge the entire time. It wasn't around my neck. It wasn't anywhere on it was on my person. It was deep in my bag. Nobody asked to see it. The only thing anybody asked to see was my ID for the burlesque show.
Hmm.
That was it. Other than that, for all they knew, I could have been a 15-year-old that's just here. Like, because I mean, I don't think you can tell my age too much when I'm wearing a mask. That's me. I also didn't think my coworkers would recognize me. I was immediately clocked. When I tell you, it was less than 5 minutes of me walking into the door, and all of a sudden I'm being hugged. Because I wasn't even looking. I was hugged. It was my coworker. One of my producers said that. I was like, oh, hey. Like, I heard she was gonna be there. Did not expect to actually run into her. Not that I was like especially like ill-dressed or anything, but how I look when I'm out doing my own thing is a stark contrast, I think, to
not stark enough. You're still recognized.
Well, first of all, I'm a black chick in these cat ear headphones and circle glasses. There's very few who have that same combination of my body size. Now, my other friend also has cat ear headphones and circle glasses and is also named Ashley. But she's about a foot shorter than me with big titties. So you're not going to get us confused.
Even shorter than you.
Yeah, I'm only like 5'5". She's probably like 5'3".
Wow.
I have a lot of leg. That's what I always tell
Wow.
people. I look deceptively taller than I am because I have long legs, and she's short and pudgy with big titties. She's like 90%.
Mean.
It's not mean. It's just facts.
It's mean to call somebody pudgy.
Because she is. She's 90% titties though. Like honestly, if she lost the titties, she probably wouldn't look as big, I think. Anyway, the point is, you're not gonna get us confused if you look at us.
I don't know. Some people can't see that well. Listen,
if you can't gauge height, I don't know what to tell you.
No, like yesterday, I was like, we were putting something up in the freezer, and I noticed some green beans that looked like they were way like freezer burnt. These green beans got put in the freezer like maybe over a year ago. So I just threw them out, right? Because that's how I do when I'm like reorganizing. And I just threw them out, and Trevor was watching. He was like, why'd you just throw that shrimp on the ground? And I was like, what shrimp? Where? He was like, you just threw that shrimp on the ground. I said, you see shrimp?
If your shrimp is green,
we
have a problem.
I said, that's why we don't let you cook. That's why we don't let you.
Oh my God. How old is your brother?
30.
Oh God, he's doing us 30-year-olds a disservice. We do not associate with that. I might be old, but God damn it, I have glasses.
I said, go to the eye doctor. Go right now. Like, don't.
Wow. That reminds me of a
make an appointment where you stand.
It reminds me of a conversation that my guy friend was having on his post. This woman had made a Twitter post about men not being grocery shoppers anymore on the apps.
Yeah.
And he was like, what is this? Why shouldn't men be grocery shoppers? And everyone in his comments were like, because men are shit shoppers on those apps. And two of the women on his post had receipts. And it was fucking hilarious because this one woman was going back and forth politely. She was going back and forth with this dude about getting her grated Parmesan. And he swore up and down the store was out of grated Parmesan. She's like, she gave him like 2 different brands to look for. She's like, just ask somebody at customer service. Like, nah, there's no more. It's out. Ask somebody. It's not there. She's like, okay, just cancel it. Thank you.
I do not mess around with those apps. No.
And then a few moments later, he gonna take a picture of the Kraft Parmesan. And he's like, good? She's like, thanks. Yes, that's good. Nigga. But like, there were some men in the comments trying to be like, you know, I've had some bad female shoppers too. It's not just men. Okay, but it's majority men. Like, I've had my own experience just with like my brothers You know, it's like, oh, one other chick was saying how a dude would like not even pick up her feminine products. Like he would get the pads instead of the tampons for some odd reason. It's like, I told you what tampons to get. Just get the fucking tampons. Why are you getting the pad anyway? But yeah, some of the men in my family can be like that too.
I am so super spoiled to my father, who does all the grocery shopping and has done so like since I was a kid. And his reason for doing that was that, I guess, like before I could remember, mom used to try to do it, but because she comes from a family of 12, she would always like overbuy. And
and that's something to consider too. Like, what is the history of the person who's doing the shopping? Your dad being the main one who's shopping is probably the better shopper between your mom and the two.
Yeah.
My siblings did not do the shopping. It was my mom and it was me. And I would be asking, she would give me a list of stuff and it would just be generic. It'd be like milk, bread, jam. I'm like, what brand of bread? What brand of jam? Like, I need brand names, because if you don't tell me, I'm getting the cheapest one on the shelf. And for me, there are certain exceptions I'm not going to make, and I will stick to the name brand. Like, my spaghetti sauce needs to be brand name. It's going to be Prego. I'm sorry. It is what it is. I've tried Ragu. Did not care for it. Do not give me the store brand. I don't trust it. Never tried it, but I don't trust it. So get the fucking Prego. So, I can't even say, like, just be specific about what you want and the quantities, because people will still ignore it.
But also, like, people who, like my mother, like, she doesn't realize that she's spoiled. Like, she has been so far removed from grocery shopping that she didn't even know that Trader Joe's was a grocery store. Like,
what did she think it was?
She referred to it as a white people store, and I was like, well, what do you? And when we stepped in there, she took one step in and was like, and said, "Oh, it's a grocery store." I said, "You didn't know it was a grocery store?"
What is a white people store? They sell white people? What is a white people store?
I have no idea.
What are other white people stores according to your mom?
She doesn't know. She just knows them when she sees them. Like, I doubt if she knows what a Crate and Barrel is. I doubt if she knows what, like.
She's like, I thought it was called Cracker Barrel. No, Mom.
She doesn't.
That's the restaurant. Crate and Barrel is the furniture store.
She also doesn't do the decorating. Dad does that too.
So domesticated. I love it. My dad was very domesticated as well.
No, it's just that he grew up. If you
don't use a coaster.
He grew up, like, his family had a farm, so like there's a lot of stuff that he can just do. Like, he knows how to build it, or if he sees something that he likes, like there was like when he saw like those gardening like containers, like those raised gardens, he was like, oh, I want one, and then he bought some wood and he built it. Like,
yeah, I love that.
He comes from that sort of family. He wanted to do landscaping. He went to the library and he figured it out. Like, he got some ideas in his head, and then he followed it down the line to like go to the garden store and figure out like what he needed. And then later, when he had money, he like hired some professionals to help out with some stuff, but he still does a lot of his own things. But like, yeah, he's been like a big influence on me.
A very proactive man. I love that. Or just in general, like, if you just,
that's how he problem solves. Like, don't complain. Just take control of the situation.
Right. Like, if it's in my power to do it, let me go check out a book, find a video tutorial, try to suss it out myself, and if it's not to the standard I think I want or need at that time, then hire a professional. I love that. Yeah. My friend, she also is very much like, you know, because sometimes you'll be watching stuff on TV or just see something in the store that just looks like so cheaply made, and you're like, I can do that. And he just go do it. Like, you know, this, like, she built her, she made like a bar table, because she couldn't find one in the aesthetic she wanted online. So she literally just got actual piping and plywood and made an industrial looking
bar table that fit like the length of her couch at the time, because she had very limited space, so she built it to be the length of her couch. So she had her table set up slightly higher than the couch so she could eat. And now that she's in a new place, the way her kitchen was set up, it didn't have a breakfast bar, but the table slots in perfectly as a breakfast bar, and she made it herself. She even did her own flooring, actually, because her apartment was carpet, and she didn't want carpet. But the other place that, like, they said, oh, we have hardwood floors. It wasn't hardwood floor. It was like fucking linoleum stone or something. It's like, that's not the same. She's like, all right, I'll take the carpeted apartment because it's cheaper. And went to Home Depot and got the, like, plywood, or not the plywood, but like the vinyl wood flooring, and floored her entire studio.
Wow.
To the point where the manager came in and was like, oh, snap. I didn't know this unit was wood. She's like, it wasn't. But it saved her more long term. Like, I think for the one time, it was maybe $300 or $400 to install all of that and like, get all the wood. And I think she like borrowed her friend's dad had like a wood cutter or something to help, but laid it all out. And as opposed to paying an extra $400 every month for a hardwood floor apartment, she's paying less than that for the one-time $400 application or payment. So, yeah, I always admire folks who can sit there and like figure out a situation on their own and just MacGyver it if they can. Love that. Sometimes you just want the convenience of paying for it. Yeah, it's like I could do it. I don't want to.
But yeah, we're super spoiled because Dad spoils us. He does not, and also because like I had moved out and been on my own. Like I know what it's like to carry groceries up 4 or 5 flights of stairs.
Girl,
like
couldn't be me.
So like I help out because I do most of the cooking. I do the list. I poll everybody like what you want for dinner, and then I write the list. Dad goes gets it. He's been doing the shopping for like most of his marriage. He already knows which brands we like. If there's something new on the list, I like go to the grocery store app. I figure out which aisle it's in, which brand I want, and then I write the aisle number and I send him a picture.
Oh, I love that.
So that it's easy for him to get.
So thorough. Now, does that or did that like I guess
hinder the kind of guys you were considering as a boyfriend, because you have your dad as an example of like, my father could do X, Y, Z in the third, and he knows how to be proactive and figure it out. If a dude can't match your dad's level of like figuring it out, like he ain't necessarily gotta be a MacGyver or a Bob the Builder or nothing, but like just the basics of like figuring out how to find an answer. Has that hindered your dating pool?
I don't think so. It's just that like I don't see like getting fed, like solving that whole problem or solving problems in life in general is being gendered. Or at least they shouldn't be.
It shouldn't.
But if I do notice if a person is not a good partner, like I'm worried about something and I'm trying to find a solution for it, and you are just telling me not to worry about it. Okay, so
That's not a solution. I won't worry if I have a plan, nigga. What's the plan?
And it's not like I want to stay here forever and vent forever, but like if I'll vent for a little bit, and then that's another thing that those morning pages for me are good for, to like get all of the emotions out so I can get back to like, okay, let's fix it now. I've expressed my feelings, and I did it into a notebook instead of dumping that onto a person.
And that's definitely something I have to, as a person who sometimes gets dumped on, I have to clarify with that person, what stage of the planning process are we in? Are we just venting and dumping?
Yeah.
Or are you telling me your problem and we're trying to,
because when you swing into like problem solving mode, when that person is
oh my god, I have pissed off many of people, because that is my immediate reaction, is to be like, I'll stop crying. Let's get to fixing this issue right now. So we do this, da 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 da, and folks are like, "Fuck you! I'm being emotional about this," and I'm like, "My bad. I didn't know we were still in the emotional phase." And I've had to tell folks like, I might not be the best person to vent to all the time about whatever you might be going through. You might need to preemptively say, "Hey, I just need to vent," so I know to shut the fuck up. And also be like, "Yeah, girl, that's some bullshit. They don't need to be doing this, that, and the third." And then later we can talk. But yeah, for me, that's how I cope. As soon as I finish venting, I immediately want to go into solutions. And when I'm talking to like my friends and family, they don't give me that. I was mad. I was pissed at my family. I'm gonna say 2 weeks ago, again with the artist pages. They wanted me to list the things that are negatives about myself, and I couldn't think of anything.
Okay.
So I was asking them like, okay, what is something that might be something negative I do or say about myself that I might not see as that, but you guys have clocked? Like, I needed an outside perspective. And my aunt's going and flossing poetics about like, you just gotta take the book for what it is, and da 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 da. And I'm thinking like, that's not what I asked. I thought I was very clear in asking, what is a negative about me that I have not clocked, and you telling me how I need to just engage with the book in another way. And I was just like, I wasn't even gonna push the issue anymore. I don't know how much more clear I could have been in that question. So I just pretty much left that one blank, I think. I think they wanted me to list 10, and I only really listed 1.
Which is, you know what? And maybe you forgot this, because I know like my first time around, I definitely forgot this. I think, I don't know if it's chapter 1 or in the, like, what do they call it? The preface, the preface, the shit that comes before chapter 1.
Yeah, preface, prelude.
It's okay to just skip some shit. She's not expecting for you to do all them tasks. If you get to like 50%, you did good. So like, when some things are difficult for me with that book, sometimes I do skip it, and sometimes I'm like, well, why is this difficult?
Oh yeah, and it's definitely like when I get to a point where I'm like, why is this hard for me? It's more so with like the listing. Like they'll want me to list 5, and maybe I only list 3. Yeah. And that's all you getting. Like that's all I've got to give, bro. Like I'm not going to force myself. Like, cause sometimes you gotta push yourself.
Especially not for somebody who's already rich and riding her horses.
Right.
So like,
right. This bitch don't care. Shoot, I don't even clock. I've clocked some grammatical issues in the book. Like, this bitch making all this damn money, she couldn't even get an editor to find this bullshit. Anyway. I say,
but
or like,
for me, like it's all about me, and as long as I am moving forward with like my next steps for my next plans, then I'm just kind of like, well, it's still serving me, so I'll stick with it.
Yeah, that's
the minute it don't, I'm dropping it, and I feel that way about men too. And maybe that's
look, I feel that way about people. Okay, people. Period. I will drop you without warning, and that is why I do not really have faith in myself being in a relationship, because I could just see myself at like the 5-year mark being like, I'm just over it. I've said this before. I would probably just drop it. We have to have a very, very good dynamic to succeed, and there's a part of me that's that thinks that I'm monogamous, and that clashes with how I act. It's like I want to be monogamous, but also I don't want to see you all the time, and I'm not always going to talk to you all the time, and that's not fair to the partner I might be with, because they might be a very touchy-feely kind of person, and if they ain't getting it from me, they gonna get it from somebody else. I'm not gonna blame them for that.
Not if they like you.
It's still not fair to them. If that's their love language of like, I want hugs and shit, and I'm like, I'm not in the mood.
I think you will naturally come together with somebody who's like you, in that they've got shit on the ball. Like, you're not people who like make relationships your whole world. Relationships are a part of your world. It's a part of it, which means like sometimes you're going to be busier than others, and sometimes you're going to have lots of time to snuggle up and be on the couch, and sometimes you're not. Sometimes you got to limit that shit to like, I'll give you like one episode's worth of cuddling, and then I got to get back to whatever I was doing.
Yeah, I very much appreciate couples who are in relationships like that. It's like we tired, we got lives going on, we busy, you know. Maybe all I can give you is being the little spoon. Don't even talk to me. I'm here just to enjoy the warmth my bones are giving you.
Or I can be your body double. You work on your thing across the room, and I'll work on mine, and we are cats. Because that's what cats do. Cats are like, I have loved having cats, like cats around as I do homework, because a lot of cats don't need to be like in your face. They'll just happy to watch you stare at your computer screen. Like they don't know.
I've seen cats be just as pick-me-ish in the most annoying ways. Like on Blurred Dot, Kenny has their cat, Pretty Boy Troy, and for the most part, Troy stays out of the camera, but it gets to a point where Troy will just walk right in front of the camera because he wants attention. He wants his pets. I know Elgin, his cat, she knows to stay out of his room. Like Kenny films in like the living room, so it's just an open space. That's usually where the cats roam anyway. Elgin has a specific room that he films in, and Billy knows not to come into this room between certain hours. And if he goes over those hours, then Billy starts creeping in like, "Hey, I did what I was supposed to do. Come get these cuddles, goddammit." And then Steven's Mochi's a little weird. Mochi actually seems to stay away for the most part, and Steven has to go get him, and he holds Mochi in the most like abusive looking way, but the cat don't seem to mind. It's very weird. But yeah, cats have very diversified personalities, just like people.
I was lucky. Like growing up, I had a cat that acted like he had appointments in business and shit. Like
we got secret meetings behind the dumpster.
Like he would just get the fuck up. Like, oh, you gotta go.
No, I gotta go take this in the other room. I love it. Oh, I remember my boyfriend's roommate had a cat named Booby. And Booby like boobies. I understood why he had that name, because he would sometimes bust up in my friend's boyfriend's room. Like, she would stay the night, and boyfriend's gone. Door is shut. And all of a sudden, the door is being pushed open. And here comes this cat on her titties. Just chilling. Like, that's his bed.
Yeah.
Oh, the audacity of cats, bruh.
My friends had a cat that could tell time.
Ooh.
Like okay, so
knew when it was dinner time.
Yes, because he got fed once at around 8:00 in the morning, and then whenever the sun went down, and I was sitting there working on something, reading something, and he was watching. He was like staring out the window, and then the sun went down, and he turned around like, oh, "Did you see that? Like,
you know what time it is?
It's time to eat. It's time to eat."
Yeah, cats don't fuck with their schedule. You put them on the schedule, you better stick to it.
Yeah.
I love it. But speaking of relationships,
yeah,
we were speaking earlier about possible cheating.
Okay, that's a story, so people can see how possible it is that. Of course, change the names to protect the identity of the.
This is a Reddit post. Is my partner cheating?
Right.
Okay. And so, in this instance, a woman's boyfriend. Let's call the woman Stacy.
Okay.
Stacy's boyfriend, Chad. Stayed the night over a friend's house.
Okay.
Because they were too drunk to drive. So very responsible. Very responsible of Chad. We love that. But while so shit-faced, he fell asleep on a hand vacuum. And it upon his waking up, he somehow turned the vacuum on. And it suctioned itself to one of his spots as they said in the post. And it got him aroused. Now, for clarification, folks asked the original poster, did you call out this mark or something? Like, what prompted them to tell you this story? What was their spot? You know, because it's like, the spot is so innocuous. I don't know the erogenous zones of men either, but my immediate thought was like, you know, maybe their thigh somewhere near their dick, and like, you know, maybe they were having some sexy times, and she pulls his pants down like, yo, what's going on with your thigh? What is this? You know? But no, apparently, immediately, or, you know, sometime upon coming home, he tells her the story of him being drunk, fell asleep on a hand vacuum. It turned on. It was on his neck, apparently. Gave him that bruise. And yeah. So he's also in pain. I'm guessing from sleeping on a hand vacuum. Because when I think of sleeping on a hand vacuum, I'm just thinking of like the crick in your neck from that.
I don't believe he has a crick in his neck. I'm sure he'll be fine.
He just said, just said he's in pain.
Bruises on your neck do have a specific term. That man has a hickey. He has a hickey. I do not believe this story. It sounds impossible. I'm sure if you took it to Mythbusters, they would show you like how long you'd have to like have it on a vacuum cleaner on.
Yeah, and apparently he pulled it off without turning it off. Like she described it as if it turned on immediately, and instead of turning it off, he just pulled it off his skin. So like a couple seconds, boom, he took it off.
Is this an industrial strength hand vac? Is this a Dyson?
Like, I haven't seen a hand vacuum in years.
I wouldn't let nobody fall asleep on my Dyson because that's
expensive. All those attachments and shit.
All this story is lies. Like,
hold on. I'm sending you something in our group chat. But yeah, I'm like, when's the last time I seen, like, I do remember hand vacuums being like
the problem is? The problem is that he has a hickey. He was probably, and also he spent the night somewhere else. Okay, so he was cheating and now he has a hickey. The thing is that there's no good excuse for hickeys. It's very difficult to make up a plausible lie, but this one specifically feels like he thinks this girl is a fool. Yes. This is a really disrespectful lie because it's so bad.
This sounds like I'm a still drunk lie. You know, like you so inebriated, you still hung over, and this was the best your brain could come up for with an explanation. Me personally, I tend to lie by omission a lot. I don't consider it lying. It's just not your business, or you did not ask enough qualifying questions for me to answer something for you. So if I have a bruise that I can't immediately cover up, I'm not going to bring any attention to it unless you bring attention to it. Because a lot of the times, unless people are looking for
He tried to get out ahead of it. He tried to get out ahead of it.
That's what a lot of...
But also, like, what's a better lie? Like, on the one hand, I feel it's disrespectful. On the other hand, because it's so bad. On the other hand, it's just very hard to come up with a lie for a hickey. Like, I've tried to make up a lie for a hickey. It did not work well. Everybody knew that it was a hickey. I tried to say that I got hit with a tennis ball. Granted, I am actually a tennis player, but
if you're in the wrong, you're in the wrong. You just gotta eat that, in my opinion.
Oh, I got another one. Okay, so like, what if you just say like you have some medical disorder where you just get wild bruises?
I mean, that can work if people don't know you, but if this is like
I slipped and
your
fell
boyfriend,
I slipped and fell on a rock and it hit right here. Maybe. They also describe the bruise as being like a rectangle, so
that still
I
kind
think
of
the rectangle is in your mind because you want to believe this bullshit because you want to keep dating this man for some reason.
I'm looking up hickey bruises now because, as y'all know, I have not had any real physical contact with people, let alone long enough for them to give me a hickey. And I feel like you need a good amount of pressure and time to put a hickey on somebody.
You do. You do.
Now, depending on, I would say melanin is also a good point. And they didn't clarify if they were like black, female, 26, Chad, white male. So we don't have that context to know.
Nobody falls asleep on a vacuum cleaner, no matter how drunk you are.
Yeah, I feel like that would irritate your drunken
even
sleep.
if you tried, even if you, I don't think you can give yourself a hickey with a vacuum cleaner, especially not a hand vac. They're too weak.
Depending on how you like at what angle. Oh, I just saw this picture. Oh, this looks like a rectangle. Hold on, I'm gonna share it. The first picture I looked up with hickey on neck. It's a white woman. I was like, oh, that actually does kind of look rectangular. I was about to say something else.
What if you can give yourself a hickey with a very nice vacuum cleaner?
That was the thing too. Okay.
But you did it in a way like it's covering up your actual hickey.
Okay, but here's the thing too. You know, if you fall asleep and wake up turning the vacuum on, what angle was the nozzle at your neck? Like, I find it hard to believe you were like right on the nozzle and then somehow turned the vacuum on.
Yeah, this regular ass stock photo of a hickey looks rectangular.
It actually kind of looks like a dick too, but this is more of like a circle. Let's see.
But now you see they can look rectangular.
Why is it all of women? Niggas don't get hickeys? This is very sexist, I have to say. Like, these look like abuse victims. And
that person was bit. Like, real. Okay, so that was from Wattpad. Okay,
the Pop Sugar one. This one is kind of elongated. Not a perfect rectangle. Like, it would have to be like a perfect kind of rectangle. This is kind of rectangular.
Oh, like, what if the reason why most of these photos are women is because men would not let you do this? Like, they would just shove you off of that.
I think that's
but women are too polite to say that hurts.
I think that's fair in the sense that, like, it's a very intimate spot. And I feel like for men, you especially need to be close to someone before you just let somebody kiss up on your neck, because it can leave hickeys. Like, it'll leave an evidence, and men can oftentimes be very possessive, so they want to leave marks. They want someone to know, like, yeah, that was me, marking their territory kind of thing.
Yes, the other woman that you're seeing doesn't want you to go back to your girlfriend. So she's going to mark you.
She's leaving evidence. Yeah. I hear that a lot with like women who know they're the other woman.
Lipstick on the collar, and then very passive aggressive too. Like, oh, I didn't know that she would notice lipstick on your collar and my perfume, and that I left a set of my dirty drawers like in your pocket, like that.
Listen, the perfume thing. Depending on how strong your perfume is, like, yeah, there's no reason you should be that close up on somebody to have a scent transfer. That means y'all were close for a long time. And probably body to body, because, like...
Oh, there's a wiki how to give someone a hickey. Okay, so whoever this somebody is, she probably went to this wiki, and then she was like, haha.
That's a TikTok. Let me see. Let me Google how long it takes to get a hickey, because that's the other question too. Like, I mean, this is definitely like a Mythbusters ass question. How much pressure and how long to get a hickey? But yeah, and like just even in the search here, like hickey on neck of black skin, like Does it require more? The more melanin you have, the lighter you are. Does it
Probably,
take
yeah,
less effort?
yeah. It'd probably be harder.
You're pretty fair skinned, my lady. So yeah, I can see bruises coming up on you. I don't think I bruise easily. I mean, I don't go nowhere either.
I do. I go
like
places
a fucking peach
in my sleep. I'll just wake up and be like, oh shit.
Mike, did you let people kiss up on your neck before y'all were like close, like just with like hookups? You could just shake your head and say no. Don't turn the camera. Don't turn the camera. This is a yes or no question. As a man.
Oh my goodness, how to give yourself a hickey?
Let's
see if there's a vacuum cleaner in there. I can see somebody trying to cover up their hickey with a vacuum cleaner and then trying to sell this fucking story and be like, look how rectangular it is.
Well, how to... Mike, this is a serious question. I'm just saying, when you were like casually dating, would you as a man just let women kiss up on your neck, or was that something you saved for more like my partner type stuff? Because like me and Fatima were saying, women, when we with dudes, they will like immediately start at the neck and try to work their way up because they being sexy. It's like, you know, the dynamics are different when you're trying to seduce. And I just, what's the word? It's not ponder. I just assume guys are not going to just let you do that.
Yeah, they will. But
I don't think casual person.
I don't think they'll let you give them a hickey though, because that like quite a bit of time, quite a bit of effort.
Okay, well, you're a dark man, my man. Anyway, we'll have to ask more men. We gotta do one of those like man on the street questions. Would you just let a casual fling kiss up on your neck? Yes or no?
Probably yes, but then once she starts sucking all hard, you just kind of no. Don't do all that.
Yeah, I guess.
It's not like you wouldn't know that somebody's sucking all hard on your neck.
The hickey hacks, how to get rid of a hickey.
None of that shit works.
I'm pretty sure it's not gonna be no damn vacuum. That's
it's
gonna make it
like
worse.
How to get rid of a hangover. You wait.
He said you wait. Let's see. Massage your hickey. Cold spoon test. Hickeys after ice massage. How about how to disguise a hickey?
Makeup.
Well, yeah, as women. Turtleneck. Why the fuck is
scarf? What do I look like showing up to my next tennis match with a scarf on?
Like fucking Fred from Scooby-Doo got a whole ascot. That's why Fred always wore those ascots, because him and Daphne would be off looking for quote unquote clues, and apparently it's on his neck. So this was a recent Reddit post. So
how to disguise a turkey? What? How to disguise a missing toenail? Wow.
How to disguise a snowman? Apps on your phone, your voice. These are just in general top questions on Google.
No, but also like, don't they also use AI to make it specific to you? Like if you and I Google the same thing, they will give us different suggestions.
No, this is different from like my previous searches, because I've seen when I start to type something, I have a completely different list of things you have searched before. This is as I'm typing out a how-to question. It's like trying to autofill with the top question. Haven't you seen that thing on what is it, on like Wired, where they ask celebrities the top things Googled about them? It's
no.
like that. Okay. Well, there's a series of that where you'll have celebrities type in their name. They'll be like, what is Emma Stone's ... and it'll be the top questions asked about that or Googled about that.
Did you see Poor Things? Poor Little Things? Poor Things, yeah.
Yeah, I have not. But I've watched a few videos on the discussion of its topic. Very interesting. It sounds like a wild ass concept.
Yeah.
Very, very. Yeah. That's why I like movies that are kind of controversial like that, because I like to see how people come at it from a different perspective. I've yet to see a man talk about it though. I've seen
good. I don't want to know what men think about that shit. Like
I do. I would like to know. If any men felt just as like icky about certain moments and scenes, or like the overall
I guess I don't want to
twist.
hear what men say, because like I know some of them are lying, and also just from hearing what women say, like I have heard some women say like it kind of like messed with their relationship, because like their partner is watching the scenes where like she's like engaged in these sexual acts, but you also know that she has the mind of like a baby or a small child, and their dick is hard at the in the theater at watching that.
Because men are visual though. Like, yes, there's a child's mind in that body, but that body is clearly an adult woman, so they're not even really thinking that hard,
right? But
because
like,
all the blood is in their dick now. They're not really being cognitive at that moment,
right?
But
and where the controversy comes from is that okay, so that is not a realistic scenario that a person could actually be in, but there are like real world parallels, such as people who have mental disabilities, and like questions about like, is it okay for somebody who does not have those not have those deficits to engage in sex?
Do they understand consent?
Do they understand consent? And not only the consent part, but also like what a real world abuser would do in terms of getting you away from your family, getting you away from your home in order to like have this sort of like relationship with you it is the Predator's playbook. So that also contributes to me just being like, I've seen other people's like videos and articles about it, but I deliberately stayed away from what men think.
But that's the thing. That is why I'd find hearing a man's perspective on it, because I want to know, what did they hone in on? Did they hear what the overall messaging was? Did they see that this was a case of dubious consent because of the baby brain in a woman's body? Or are they just concentrating on the fact that there was sex? And Emma Stone's titties look great. Like, I'm not necessarily going to watch their entire review, but I want to get a scale.
I feel like in my mind, I'm already so biased against it that me going to check it out is like, I've set you up. And if you do not answer this, and if you do not answer this perfectly, then I think lesser of you, and that's not fair to do to people. So it's
not, but at least you're aware of it. We're all guilty of that at a certain time. Like, we already have in our mind what the right answer is, and sometimes it's a very roundabout answer that no one, unless they're in our brain, would figure out. But yeah, this was an interesting concept, and again, I feel like women are especially more sensitive to those topics of consent and isolation and discovering our own sexuality. That it would probably take a few watches, or at the very least, you gotta step away and like really analyze what you watched to really understand what the story was trying to say, because it gets very explicit and almost gratuitous from what I hear with the sex scenes, to the point where it's like,
I can see why some people wouldn't want to engage with it at all, because it's triggering given their own history. But also I can also see like the artistic merit or whatever, but also like some of that shit. So like they're dressed like they're in the Victorian era. Like I know like it's a whole like fantasy world, but it looks like the Victorian era. And I do recall like the Project Gutenberg thing. I was looking around at some stuff and I came across some Victorian smut. And once I got like into it was bad, and I couldn't engage with it anymore, because it was the story of an older sex worker mentoring a younger sex worker, and like that's the setup. And she explains like how she got into BDSM, and then she talks about like how like the first person to introduce her to the tickler in a sexual way was her grandfather, and then and then I was done.
Yeah.
And so like seeing this and seeing the Victorian era like stuff, even though it's a fantasy world with like Frankenstein elements, I immediately like was reminded of that, and I was just kind of like, this ain't for me. Like,
yeah, it's like, it's one of those things where you have to like turn your brain off kind of thing, and I'm like, I can't, that switch stays on. There's a lot of switches I can turn off in my brain, but nah. And sometimes not for long. Like I feel like I have to do that with like anime sometimes, where I'm just like, this shit don't make no sense. Just turn the brain off. Turn the brain off. It's just fun to look at. Don't think about it. The action scenes are fun. Just go with it. But when it gets into, there was something I just watched the other day that I was like, yo, this is some fucked up shit. Is this what I think is happening? What was it? Oh my god, I can't. What the fuck was it? I can't remember. But another thing I just remembered that I had. Is it a book? Yeah, okay, there's a lot. There's a lot of instances in manga and anime that had me go like, wait a fucking goddamn minute. Did they do what I think they did? And usually surrounding like sex in a way. But in a less than, not so sexual, but it sounds kind of pseudo-sexual, and that's what kind of made it funny, because it was like a parody of a show. There's a show called Bang Brave, Bang Bravern, about this giant robot from outer space that assists the world's military in taking down other giant robots that are destroying the world. And he can talk and has a theme song and everything. Like, his theme song starts playing and the military's like, what is that music? But he comes to Earth and he immediately picks out one particular soldier. He's like, you, get inside me. It is our destiny. And he's like, the fuck? What is happening? He's like, yes, climb inside me. Pull that lever and do our special move. He's like, I don't know how any of your shit works. What are you talking about? Come to find out, this robot is the spirit of the soldier's friend who would later die, like 10 episodes later, by one of the giant alien one of the enemy aliens robots that had time manipulation. So that robot had been apparently going back in time multiple times and reliving that particular fight with his friend. And when the friend died and became a spirit, him and the robot spirit were together in the same space at one point. He's like, nah, I can't be dead. I have to help my friend. This ain't the end for me. And the robot's like, yes, I love the human spirit. Yes. And somehow their spirits combined back to the mothership to create the robot that we would know in the past as Braver. And I'm sitting here like, hold the fuck up.
Okay, yeah.
You mean to tell me the robot we've been watching this whole time has been this nigga from the future? When I tell you I had to stop for like 20 minutes, and it's like,
that's too much timey-wimey Doctor Who, hold the door, Hodor bullshit for me. Like, that's just too much.
With a sprinkling of sexual element too, because
climb inside of me. Hold the lever.
The way he would tell
do a special dance.
Listen, the robot was explaining this to the governments, because they're like, okay, first of all, you also are a giant robot. We just got our ass handed to us by other robots that kind of look like you. Why should we trust you in that soldier that you had piloting you? Because we are waterboarding him right now, and he's not telling us shit. So we need to hear from you, Mr. Megatron, whatever the fuck you are. And he's like, yes, let me tell you about the beauty that is my bond with so-and-so. As soon as I felt him inside me, I knew he was the one. Like, you would have thought he was talking about his first time having anal sex. It was fucking hilarious. Made even more hilarious by the government officials looking bored out of their fucking minds. They're like, what the fuck are we even talking about anymore? But anyway. It was a very interesting concept on, like, consent. Because the soldier was like, I want to save my soldier friends and everything. People are literally dying around me, but I don't like being in this robot. It feels weird. He makes it fucking weird. My clothes are gone. Like, at one point, I think something happened where he had to be enveloped in like an oxygen-filled jelly or something. And that dissolved all his clothes. Traumatized him. This man was sitting butt naked in this cockpit. No chair, no nothing. He's just butt naked, like in a fetal position, in this robot. And the man's friends are outside. They're like, "Hey, it's been like 2 days. You okay in there?" And the robot's like, "Oh, he's fine. He's doing great. He loves it in here." They're like, "He hasn't eaten? And how is he going to the bathroom?" It's like, the robot's like, "Don't worry about that." What the fuck? I honestly suggest watching the show. It is made funnier if you're familiar with like anime tropes, especially like Gundam and just giant fighting robot type stuff.
What's the name of it?
It is called Bang Brave, Bang Braver.
Okay.
It is hilarious. It's so stupid. It gives the vibe of like, I described it to a friend as Top Gun meets Gundam, but gayer in a way. You know how Top Gun had that kind of like pseudo-sexual kind of baseball, not baseball,
I've never
volleyball
seen
scene?
it.
I've never seen it either, but that scene of them playing volleyball on the beach is like, I don't know, a lot of people's gay awakening or something. This had something similar in that it was the soldier and his friend. They were boxing because they needed to sort some things out. Like, I've noticed this with a lot of guys. They talk about how like sometimes they just gotta punch their friend for them to be on good terms, kind of thing. Mike has accounted to this, where it's like, "Oh yeah, I fought my friends and then we were cool." And I'm like,
I have a cousin who he was punching snow.
wow. Yeah, I'm talking about actual other people, let alone those
Mike saw it, and every time I mentioned him, he was like, "Is that cousin that was punching snow in that video?" And I was like, "Yeah."
I mean, you know, whatever you got to do to not hurt people, but it seems more common than not that for guys to kind of work out through their issues with each other, they might do something competitive, usually with laying hands with each other. So Soldier is fighting his friend, which the soldier is he's a Japanese soldier. The soldier is Japanese, and his friend was an American soldier. Looked like fucking Captain America. Blonde hair, blue eyes, big titties for a man. Whatever. They're boxing it out. And it's so fucking gay. It was so funny. Like, at some point he like tackles him or something, and he's like on top of him. Mind you, they are boxing in front of the entire fleet of other soldiers. And he's just on top of him. He's like, "Get off of me. I can feel it." He's like, "What can you feel?" And like, he got one of the female soldiers on the side, like, "Yes, this is hot." And I'm like, "Girl, same, but girl." And then the robot's in the cut with a microphone, and he's holding the microphone over the boxing ring to try to get their conversation, because they're fighting it out, but they're also still actually having a verbal conversation of like expressing like why they're mad at each other, kind of thing.
I've seen that in anime. You can fight and talk at the same time.
Yeah, and they were doing that, you know, and it's boxing too, so you're gonna have moments of like dodging and just trying to find your opening. So that made sense there. He got this giant boom mic over the ring. Everybody on the fleet can hear the conversation they're having about their doubts about being able to protect everybody, this, that, and the third. And I'm like, this is melodramatic as fuck, but so funny. Like, they were cute. Oh, and then he almost kissed the robot. Oh my god, the romantic elements were so fucking dumb. Oh my god, you gotta watch it. I need you to watch it just because there's not enough people who have also endured the insanity that was the show. And this came out last season. I had 2 reviewers that I watch who told me, or not told me personally, but they made videos about it. Like, guys, you have to watch it. One was a straight white man, the other was a gay white man, and they're both saying you gotta watch this.
I will rope Trevor into watching this.
Oh my god, Trevor. He's probably gonna walk out, I'm not gonna lie. He's gonna walk out.
What was that one with the gangsters that were in the women's bodies?
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I didn't watch that one. There was the idol one.
Okay, so I got him to watch a couple episodes of that. I think I can at least get him to watch like episode 1. I can commit to watching episode 1.
If he likes like action, robot, military type shows, he might enjoy it. Like, it has its goofy elements, but it's a solid like action giant robot series.
Yeah.
And
I'll look for it.
When they randomly speak English, it's hilarious. Like, when they curse in English, it's so funny. Because the pronunciations are just... But yeah, so... all that to say, Dubious Consent was very much played for laughs in Bravern. But... it's a tightrope. It is very much a tightrope in anything. In anime especially, they really like to play with that. Another more recent show is Mushoku Tensei, Jobless Reincarnation, in which a guy has been reincarnated into the body of a child in another world. So he died in his world when he was like maybe about 30. And when he woke up again, he was literally being born as an infant. So he has the mind of a 30-year-old in a child. And as he's growing up, he's growing alongside other children. And a lot of people had issue with the fact that it was a grown man's brain in a child's body. Okay. That is now having relations with underage children, but he himself physically is technically an underage child. So that made a lot of, especially women, really icky about it, because we are watching the show from his perspective at that, and it doesn't help that he's a fucking pervert. Like, this man was stealing panties as a baby.
Yeah, that does sound like it would be hard for me not to think like, somebody wants to do a thing and they figured out a way to make it work in this show.
You want to be with young girls, and you put a
but you want to retain all the wisdom of your years. But but you still want access to young girls, and this is a way. This is a workaround. This is
right. My thing was, he was growing up again though. Like,
I know.
But again, that's what I mean. With it gets messy, and I can understand why people were like, this doesn't fit right with me, because again, we are seeing everything from his perspective, everything in his mind. Everyone else around him just thinks he's a regular child who has grown up. His love interests think he is their age, which, physically speaking, he is. Another more recent one that I think is doing it better. It's not a brain swap. It's literally a woman. I want to say when we meet her, she looks like she's probably about, I'm gonna give her 16. She looks 16, but she's way older. She has to be at least in her hundreds because she's a witch. Yeah. And this guy climbs her tower because it was a rumor that if you climb the tower, the witch at the top will grant you a wish. The only other person who was able to do that before him was his grandfather years ago. And so he gets there. She's like, oh, you're so-and-so's grandkid. Yeah, you kind of look like him, but he had more of a boyish charm about him. You not so much. And so the way they interact, it was very much like, she didn't act like a 16-year-old. She didn't act overly mature either, but she was a very wary person just by virtue of being a witch. And his problem is that he was cursed by another witch to never be able to have children. for whatever reason, this witch cursed his father and him. It's like, your bloodline ends with him. No womb will be able to conceive your seed. So he goes to the witch and be like, yo, can you undo this? And she's like, well, I mean, it's not quite a curse. It's more complicated than that. And it's going to take some time. And he's like, well, what are my alternatives? She's like, I could try to find a woman who could technically be stronger than the curse, but I have no guarantee how old they gonna be. He's like, so it could be a really old woman or someone who's not even born yet? She's like, yeah. He's like, absolutely not. Why don't I just marry you? Could you do it? He's like, are you strong enough? She's like, I mean, yeah, I could probably do it, no problem. He's like, okay, cool, I'm gonna just marry you. And she's like, nah, I'm gonna just work on taking the curse off of you. So again, she looks 16. It would be a little weird for him to just come back with like a 16-year-old at his side. So he's just like, oh, she's just going to be the castle mage or whatever, just to hide. That she's there to actually protect him while she's coming up with her cure for him. But there's not too much romantic tension between them. Like, he does propose, yo, I'm gonna marry you. You know, I guess in their timeline, 16 is legal. Yeah. But she is very much like, absolutely not. That's not happening. I might look 16, but I'm old enough to be your grandmother. No. So this is different. Now she looks 16, but she's old as fuck. And that's like a trope that's very prevalent in the anime of like the Lolita that looks like she's 12, but she's actually 18. It's just, But with this show, we don't stick with that for too long, because by like episode 3, she had injured herself to the point where she had to age herself up.
Okay.
So it's like, okay, now I look like I'm 21. We the same age, physically at least. But I'm sure there's still people who are like, okay, but she's still old enough to be his grandmother. It's weird. It's gross. She knew his grandfather.
Okay, but like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, famous international. Well, yeah, and her boyfriends were like 200 years old. So
honestly,
like
every instance of a vampire dating a human is that age gap. Twilight, True Blood, Buffy. Like,
True Blood, she was an adult. Buffy,
but he was still like, everyone was like hundreds of years old.
Yeah, but you're not 15 like Buffy was. So.
Oh, she was 15. She looked 20 something.
When the character starts, yeah, she's around like a sophomore in high school. That's why the first 3 seasons, she's in high school with her 200-year-old boyfriend, and she lost her virginity. And I don't remember if it was her like 16th or 17th. Yeah. And there was like sex. Yeah. With his cold body.
No. Yeah. True Blood again was at least Suki was at least
like
21.
Suki's like 25. Yeah.
Suki was at least 21 because she was serving alcohol in the bar. But it was also the South. I don't think they were really clocking folks who were not 21.
But like, because I've read like some of the books, and like Suki was like 20 something, like she was like 25 or something, but she had never had a relationship and she had never had sex with a man because of the fact that she can hear their thoughts.
Oof. Yeah.
And when you can hear their thoughts, you don't want to interact with them anymore, which is why she ended up because she can hear all of their running consciousness, and she didn't know how to like turn it off.
Suki could do that too. When she like touched
No, that was Suki. Yeah,
Suki could do that, but I think she had to touch you or something.
No, in the books she could just hear it.
Oh, but she couldn't hear Bill.
But she can't hear Bill, which is why she ended up getting with Bill.
Yeah.
Initially.
Like, didn't that happen in Twilight too? Like,
I didn't read or watch it,
but I am a child. I am a millennial child, and god damn it, if I did not by like osmosis just absorb the story. But I think he couldn't. No, it wasn't him who couldn't read her mind. It was another one of the vampires who had the ability to read minds, and I don't think she could read Bella's. And Ed just really liked how Bella smelled.
Yeah. Gross.
Anyway, he's hundreds of years old, and she was once again like a freshman or a sophomore.
She was in high school,
high school. Yeah. I honestly do not understand how people find high schoolers attractive.
Because high schoolers on TV don't look like real high schoolers.
That's what I'm
high
talking
schoolers
about.
on TV, some of them are in their 30s. Like
Yes.
they're.
I'm talking about me thinking about what everybody looked like as high schoolers when I was going to school. No one in their right mind should be messing with.
Because they do still look like children. Like they still look like children. It's not like, oh, she's like look way older. No, she looks her age.
Yeah.
You weird.
They look her age. You know, I will say Blue Ivy doesn't quite look her age. She's 12 and I thought she was 16.
I think all celebrity children are in a special case because they get to wear makeup they get dressed to play whatever part they're playing. And even if they aren't in a movie, like when they're on the red carpet, they're playing a part. Like that's
yes, very much so. I'm just saying.
If you take all of that stuff off of her, I think she will look like a child. Yeah,
like, I felt so bad aging her up when she was at the Grammys. She looked so much like her mom. I was like, oh my god.
But also, she's also like she was very poised and mature. But that's because she's been performing. Like she's been performing with her mother. All of that stuff was trained into her.
Yeah, I saw her. And I was like, oh my god, I'm getting so old. Look at Blue Ivy. She's like 16 now. My friend's like, she is 12. I was like, oh my god. Why does she look... Why? She look as old as me? She look like a peer. Ugh, it's the makeup. I don't wear makeup.
It's makeup. It's the style of dress.
Yes,
it's
styling.
The posture.
It's the height. She's just
it's controlling your facial expressions. Like all of that control was trained into her. She's been on tour with Beyonce. Like you're going to come away giving off a different vibe if you've been on tour performing alongside Beyonce.
Also, what's the caliber of children she's grown up with? If she's grown up with children, like maybe she's only ever been around like adults.
Or private school.
I think she hangs out with Kanye's kid. What's her name? North.
Yeah.
They probably hang out. I wonder if she likes her. That's interesting. It's none of my business, but I often wonder, like, what are celebrity kids' relationships with their celebrity parents, especially when their parents are like not doing well in the public eye. It's very interesting. None of my business again, but just one of the thoughts that runs through my mind just as the adult child of parents, and sometimes wanting to think like what's going on in their relationships with like their partners and being like, actually I don't fucking care, it's not my business. It's not my business. As long as you ain't laying hands or abusing my mom, I don't fucking care. I don't. And to the Reddit poster and had posted about their boyfriend,
their very special relationship with a hand vac. Yeah.
Yeah, it was apparently posted. It wasn't by the like Stacy is the girlfriend, but the original poster was the friend of Stacy. So it's like, as a friend, they're more so concerned with like, do I tell my friend that I think their boyfriend is cheating, or do I just let it go?
I don't know. I think probably it depends on your relationship. It depends on her relationship with Stacy. Because very often you have to watch for the blowback. Because if you expose something that somebody's not like consciously ready to know, like they know that they aren't ready to know it, and they definitely aren't ready to think about other people knowing it, they're going to get all feisty with you and stick with him. They're going to stick with him and break up with your ass.
And the thing is, too, if I heard a story like that from my friend, or not even my friend, if my man told me that story, my immediate thought is thinking, you fucking lying. What's the truth? You like, I don't know if I would straight up say you cheating, but
I would skip all the way down the line to say we're done.
I wouldn't be joking about it.
No.
I wouldn't be like, oh my god, that is so funny, unless I was there. Like, it'd be one thing if we were both passed out on the couch and I woke up to the sound of a vacuum
with the
on.
vacuum cleaner going.
But that's what I'm saying.
Because they are so loud.
That's what I'm saying. We would have both had to have been passed out in the same room together when you woke up with a vacuum on your neck. I'm just saying, that for me, that would be the only way that I could be like, yeah, this is a funny story because I saw it with my own eyes. This was wild. But for you to tell me that is how you got that, my mind, because I'm just a pessimistic kind of person, is to think you're fucking lying to me because that sounds ridiculous. And I don't want to be that person to people. Like, I'm the first one to tell people to break up. Don't talk to them. Like, the minute I see a sign that something don't seem right, I'm like, it couldn't be me. Like that. Except for like one of my friends, I be telling her to block niggas all the time because I be feeling like they be perpetual line steppers, and they be like returning niggas at that. If they are returning niggas that she has told me about has like not treated her in a way that I think was respectful, and they come around with that same shit again, I'm telling her to block. But if I don't have any real evidence outside of hearsay from people, like people tell me this is how their relationship was with somebody, and you're telling me how your relationship is with somebody, and I haven't seen no shit with my own eyes, I ain't got shit to say. Like, wow, I guess that is a funny story. It wouldn't be funny to me. But hey, I'm, without any evidence myself, I wouldn't even bring it back up to the friend. I just clock it in the back of the brain as like, okay. Like, huh. Okay, yeah. But yeah, general consensus is cheating.
Yeah, cheating. Yeah. All right, well, I've got to get going.
Yeah, you got that artist way to. Fuck, I got the artist way.
I gotta eat. I gotta eat dinner.
Look at me being the person who have already eaten today. For once.
we do not eat around here until like 7:30, 8 o'clock.
No.
But now I'm hungry.
Yeah,
Real
I should
hungry.
probably still eat something. I'll probably just have a protein drink. All right.
Ew.
No, these are good.
No such thing.
The Nestle very high calorie drinks. That's coming from me. The chocolate, good.
No protein powder for me.
No, it's not
Thank
protein
you.
powder. It's just a protein drink. A lot of people who are going through like chemo drink it to like maintain body weight. It's pretty good.
I would drink it if I was on chemo.
Well, if I
knock on wood,
I don't eat like I'm supposed to, you would think I was on chemo. So it stays in rotation for meals when I don't feel like cooking.
Okay, fair enough.
But I've been Ash.
And I've been Fatima.
And this has been
Fatash.